Welcome back, Cameron Indoor Stadium, and we get ready for the 96th renewal of Georgia Tech and number 2 Duke. And let's quickly check the Food Line starting lineups. Mike, we mentioned this. The Duke lineup features Marquise Bolden and the 4 freshmen. First time since early December against Hartford they've gone to this order.
Yeah, you know, Reddish missed the Syracuse game with an illness. Williamson got poked in the eye. You know, they've all had some issues. Barrett, the only one really who's been relatively healthy.
Keep an eye on Banks and Gay, the 2 big fellows inside for Josh Pastner and Georgia Tech, who take the floor in the navy blue today against the Blue Devils. Banks, Williamson get us started. Clarence Armstrong, Ted Valentine, Tony Henderson on the whistle. And Duke, who's beaten Georgia Tech 35 of the last 38 times, has the ball first.
We'll talk about this as the game goes on. A lot of zone for Georgia Tech, and number 1 gets it right away and gets things going with the left-hand side. Good position in the bottom of that zone.
Backcourt pressure applied by the Blue Devils. Williamson's bucket makes it 2-0. He leads the ACC in conference scoring at 25.5 a game. He's the number 1 field goal shooter in the conference at 67%. Turned over by Alvarado, and the Blue Devils get it right back. Defoe's deflection. Here's Haywood spotting.
You know, that's not a bad shot. He had 2 guys underneath for offensive rebounding position, but the long rebound, you know, you're going to get a good look like that in transition. Probably would have been better served, though, to, you know, get something inside.
Bolden bumped and fouled by the Texas transfer, James Banks. And a quick look at the ACC's field goal leader on his first possession.
Well, watch the zone, and he's really working only against 1 guy inside. You got Bolden up top, and that's, you know, when he gets to his left hand that low, it's automatic.
Here's Williamson fighting for position again, and deflected away. It'll stay with the Blue Devils.
I think he can score both ways, but you have to make him beat you with his right hand. You know, if you're going to live with something, it's going to be his offhand. And they're going to overrule it and give the ball to Georgia Tech.
Yeah. So Ted Valentine makes the change a minute in.
I think Mike wants to push the defense up. It's a noon game. It's going to help them get energized and get a little bit of a sweat going early.
Alvarado to Haywood. Skip to Jose, sophomore from New York, turns it over. DeVoe into the backcourt after the deflection. A.D. Gay spinning through traffic, got Bolden in the air and then blocked. And it hit the end line. It'll stay with Georgia Tech. Great defensive presence by Marquise Bolden.
He has really stepped up. Injuries early in his career, and Wes, this is a team that leads the nation in block shots. Now, ideally, you want to keep it inbounds and start to break, but good help that time.
DeVoe. Boy, Duke's pressure now with 10 to shoot as Georgia Tech winds this clock down in the possession here. 5 to shoot. Gay, 3 to shoot. Here's DeVoe. Did not get it off. It won't count.
See, and that's where that wasn't a block shot, but he saw Zion Williamson come over, went underneath the rim. That extra second caused the violation.
Second turnover on the Yellow Jackets here with a minute and a half gone.
At least that one was a dead ball turnover. So
right.
you can get back and set the defense up. It's the ones out front that kill you.
Barrett the 3.
You know, how can a guy almost scores 24 points a game almost get overlooked because of what Zion Williamson does on the floor? Yep. But RJ Barrett, he's just a complete package, and found out that he can play a little point guard as well.
Absolutely. Here's A.D. Gay, a couple of post moves, and scores the bucket. The redshirt senior from Senegal on the board for the Jackets.
Well, you've seen him, and he had a big game against Notre Dame, 13 points. They're going to need big production out of him and Banks in this game.
Alvarado contesting the loose ball will draw the foul. His first, second on Georgia Tech. Josh Pastner, native of Kingwood, Texas. 41 years of age, 45 wins, and now 3 seasons in Atlanta. And it's a hard rebuild for the Jackets, Mike.
No question about it, Wes. How about this? I mean, 11-8 overall. So you think, all right, they're down in the league, but they're sitting there at 3-3.
Yep.
That 6-game mark, which I think you take that number and didn't even look at the overall record.
That ball last touch by Duke, and Clarence Armstrong, Ted Valentine want to visit here real quick. And a quick conversation with the officials as Mike Krzyzewski looks on, of course. 1,100 wins in his marvelous career, spanning 44 years, 39th season at Duke. Here is Barrett. Trying to get the quick pass to Williamson. Now Alvarado. Falls in.
Well, nice push up the floor, and getting Alvarado back was key. I mean, he was out with a couple of games with a groin injury, but he's really the engine. Not a great assist-to-turnover ratio, but he takes big shots and he pushes the ball.
Here is Bolden, a catch at the block.
They may have to get some more people at the bottom of that zone because it's been vulnerable early on, and Bolden with a nice finish, catch and finish.
Well, Mike, did you know this is not a great three-point shooting team the Blue Devils have?
Yeah, so I'd pack it in and say, it's a tough thing to do on the road, but it's the lesser of two evils.
Duke only hitting 31% of their threes. In fact, in conference play, it's down under 30. Williamson the rebound. And a backcourt foul on Georgia Tech. And let's get a look at Mike Jaminski's Carolina Ford keys to the game today.
Well, as for most people, Georgia Tech got Josh Pastner talking about transition defense. Can't give up the easy points, have them running downhill. And for Duke, Mike Krzyzewski told us before it was zone offense, working against, because it's more of an amoeba-like offense, and so far they've been pretty effective inside.
Antonio Brankovic has come onto the floor. Senior from Croatia, making just his 10th appearance of the year. Barrett another three. And banged out of there. Jones the recovery. Skip across. Nice ball movement by the Blue Devils, and Brankovic fouled by Banks. And that's 2 on James Banks, 4 on Georgia Tech, and we're not quite 4 minutes old.
Yeah, that second one on Banks is going to be huge, and now Josh Pastner has a decision to make. Duke has really been attacking inside, trying to get either Gay or Banks in foul trouble, and then looks like Banks is going to come out after this free throw.
Yeah, Sylvester Obunda set to check in. Free throw by Brankovic, just his 8th free throw of the year and his first point today.
That's one thing Pastner talked about in getting more consistency out of Banks. Now, he had a couple of good games back-to-back, but an early exit here in the first half.
That'll certainly sidetrack his numbers. Brankovic gets 1 of 2, and Williamson gets the rebound. Barrett threw it away to Gay. Alvarado, DeVoe ahead. And Michael DeVoe can't finish, and it got knocked out and saved by Jones, and then run down by Reddish.
And it's interesting. We thought that Georgia Tech might be a little bit more deliberate in their offense, Wes, but they looked to run in the first 4 minutes.
Barrett a three. Missed everything. Curtis Haywood the rebound. Michael DeVoe, who played with R.J. Barrett a year ago at Montverde Academy in Florida, winning a national championship. Gay working against Barrett. Brankovic thought about help.
Yeah, well, they're gonna be able to double off. They're gonna double him.
8 to shoot. Haywood a three. That'll put Reddish in transition. 2 on 4. Reddish to the rack. Left it short.
A little too over-aggressive, I think, that time up the floor. Need to wait for some more white jerseys.
Alvarado to Obunda. Turns with the right hand and left it on the iron. Jones for Williamson. Reddish trails the three. Boy, Duke is not very warm from the floor.
And Wes, he's the one that they thought was going to be, their best three-point shooter of that group, of the freshman group, and his numbers have not been great.
Gay fouled by Brankovic on the bounce pass to the block. His first on Duke. Blue Devils have doubled the number early on the Jackets at Cameron.
Yeah, we've already had a look at this and watched Zion Williamson working against the zone, and again, getting to that left hand, going against Syracuse, which is a different type of zone than Georgia Tech plays. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 4. It doesn't really matter a lot of the times, and he's so good inside. And Wes also has the ability to make a play out of the middle of that zone, too.
Well, and Williamson had Duke's first bucket. They were 3 of their first 3, Mike. And the freshman from Spartanburg got them started. But Duke has now missed 4 in a row from the floor. They've got 4 turnovers. Meanwhile, Georgia Tech also ice cold. They're just 2 of 9.
And an opportunity missed, I think, by Georgia Tech. More importantly, to tie this game, get a little bit of a lead early, get some confidence.
Jack White onto the deck for the first time for Coach Krzyzewski. Also, Evan Cole and Khalid Moore have come onto the surface for the first time for Georgia Tech. Here is DeVoe fighting through a little bit of chaos, and it got blocked by Williamson.
And how about Banks back on the floor with the 2 personal fouls? He's got to be careful.
And a kick will keep it at the Blue Devil end of the floor.
And being in the zone helps him a little bit defensively, but if he gets a catch inside.
Well, and here's the other idea, too, that you mentioned a trip or 2 ago. Georgia Tech not very deep in the depth of the zone. They tend to be more, 8 to 15 feet with it?
Yeah, and I think they've got to rein that in a little bit and make Duke shoot from the perimeter, improve themselves.
White, who struggled against Syracuse, but effective the other night against Pittsburgh. Bolden missed on the turn.
Pretty nice job by Banks making him go to the baseline. Really took away any kind of angle to score.
Georgia Tech's missed their last 6 shots now from the floor. Into this zone, it kind of, moves around. Here's a lob, and boy, Evan Cole did a good job reading the lob.
Well, it's a poor lob for Zion Williamson. You got to throw it higher than that. He can go up and get that. If Evan Cole can get it, I guarantee you Zion Williamson can get it a foot higher.
They try to go low to Moore, and there's a hold on White off the ball. Whistle by Ted Valentine. First on Jack White, second on the Blue Devils, and this. I really think, along with Jones, the unsung player in the Duke lineup is the junior from Australia.
No question, and he has not been shooting the ball. Had a real struggle, 0 for 10 game. Yep. And I think a little gun shy from that, but he has continued to do the other things off the bench.
Yeah, the last 3 starts have not gone well from a scoring or rebounding perspective. Duke's got the ball. They've gone 4 minutes without a field goal. But still have a 4-point lead.
I'm curious as this game goes along how many minutes Jones plays, and not in the Stars in general, because they got a quick turnaround. They have game on Monday.
That's right, Notre Dame.
So there's that's a rest is a factor as well. It's like you want to put this one away if you can as quickly as possible.
Irish hosting Virginia today at Purcell Pavilion, then Duke on Monday night. Georgia Tech in a shooting drought, along with the Blue Devils, who have only bought 1 of 2 free throws. Jones, a little awkward runner on the baseline.
Yeah, he just kind of stubbed his toe, and he may say this in a good way.
Whoa! Look out! And Banks the and 1.
And that was right at number 1. Both ones going at each other. Zion Williamson, one of the best shot blockers. Look at this, and he had him teed up too, but Banks got there just a fraction early, and there was nothing that Williamson can do.
In fact, Zion hit the down button. He didn't want any. Yeah. He knew it was already a lost cause, I think, but he was inside the circle when the contact was made. So here's James Banks for the and 1. So an emphatic 3rd field goal for Georgia Tech. Jordan Goldwire's out there now to run the offense.
Jones kind of short minutes right now. I think they're just going to gauge where he is. But what I was going to say, it may take some pretty good contact for him to get through and past that hurdle of come back from the injury.
Reddish misses the 3. Alvarado the rebound. Josh Pastner about helped his sophomore guard down the floor with it. Over half of Duke's field goal attempts have been from 3, and they had such success inside. Tie game on the driving bucket from Jose Alvarado.
One word comes to mind with him: fearless.
No good.
He is really, against anybody, anywhere.
Duke's missed their last 8 shots from the floor. Reddish fighting through the scoop and the foul. If that's on Banks, it's 3. It is the 3rd foul on James Banks. We've already had a couple dunks. Bolden won. Banks won. Our coverage of ACC basketball being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network. We welcome the men and women of the Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines stationed around the world. We're so proud to have you with us. Appreciate you protecting our freedom, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast here from Cameron Indoor Stadium. Little trouble for Georgia Tech now. James Banks on the last play before the timeout, his third foul, Mike, so he'll now have to stay on Josh Pastner's bench, I imagine, the remainder of this opening 20 minutes. Yeah, I think he needed to be a little less aggressive, knowing his situation. You have to know your foul situation, but I'll go back to the slow start. We talked to Coach K before the game, and he talked about preparing in a 24-hour window, so they had a couple of good practices. A light practice yesterday at 2. Did some running, got the guys up early for 8:30 meeting, 9 o'clock breakfast, but it definitely shortens your preparation day. Yep. I was not a big fan of, I was for other reasons, but not a big fan of noon or 1 starts. Yep. I like to have that whole day of preparation to get loose, but the warm-up is the most important thing. Georgia Tech's entry pass, Alvarado bounced it beyond the reach of Moore. Now the good part was being done by 3:30 and going out to the quad for activities after the game and then having Sunday off. There you have it. Thrown away by Barrett, trying to cross it for Alex O'Connell. 6th Blue Devil turnover of the opening frame. Evan Cole with DeVoe, Alvarado, Gay, and Moore. Now, Josh Pastner's got to find the combination. Remember, though, his best rebounder, one of his best scorers off the floor. And a backcourt foul on DeVoe as Reddish had picked him. So Michael DeVoe, the freshman from Orlando, his first, number 6 on Georgia Tech, and Zion Williamson will report back. Duke has gone almost 7 full minutes, 6.5 minutes without a field goal. Now, if you attack the inside, you get Gay in there. If you get him in foul trouble, then Josh Pastner has real issues. It'll be Katie bar the door. Might be right now. There you go. Williamson scores. Zion Williamson has got 4 points, and I think he's taken just 2 shots from the floor. He has. Leads the league in scoring. In conference play at 25.5, and Duke scored 4 in a row for a 4-point edge. They got a switch with Alex O'Connell on Gay, and they can't get him the ball. O'Connell fronting him now, and now they get it to Gay. There are 3 white shirts around it. Cole missed everything with a jump hook. Gay's 3rd try, and Moore tipped it around. Cole the rebound, up strong and scored. Evan Cole's first points. I'll tell you what, 4 shots for the you don't usually see that against this Duke team. But getting on the glass and getting too many opportunities. G-man, they are 5th in the league in rebound margin in conference play. Are the Blue Devils. Georgia Tech, by the way, 13th. Goldwire from the Metro Atlanta area misses everything, and here's Alvarado trying to run. Leaves it for the lefty DeVoe. Bangs the 3, does Michael DeVoe. First points on his 16th 3 of the season. And Georgia Tech quickly 5 in a row to take the lead. Yep, and they look like they've fallen into a rhythm too, and they're continuing to push the ball up the floor. O'Connell tried to flip it to Williamson. He wasn't expecting it. I think he was expecting the shot. He was looking to get offensive rebounding position. Barrett the 3, and it rolled off the iron for Gay. The Jackets are getting a lot of benefits here in the early half, Mike. Yep. And 1 shot now, defensive rebounding, another thing that Josh Pastner was concerned with, and to an extent, Duke is, Georgia Tech has taken Duke's crowd out of this game. Both teams under 30%, and Duke is 1 of 8 from 3. DeVoe, 4 to shoot. The scoop missed everything. Reddish and a block on Cole. First on Cole, 7 on Georgia Tech. Here's that little volleyball match that took place down the other end of the floor, and Georgia Tech just off the floor faster. Evan Cole finally finishes it off. And then DeVoe getting the open look. Only a 30% shooter from 3, but had the open shot. Cam Reddish, who had 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in Tuesday night's win against Pittsburgh. drops in his 3rd point at the line.
Last two, his shooting has been a little down, though. 4 of 16 from 3, Wes.
Reddish all 4 of his points at the line. Don't forget, game 1 of a doubleheader. Some of you will see Pittsburgh at number 23 Louisville. Others will take you down the Durham Freeway for the Tigers and 21st ranked NC State at PNC Arena. Gay. Missed with the jump hook.
And you can, when we asked Josh, you know, Georgia Tech is giving up offensive they're not even sending anybody at the glass right now. They're so concerned with getting back.
Oh, Williamson the catch.
Why are you shooting threes? I mean, that's been all night. I mean, or all afternoon. I know you want to eventually start to knock them down, but they're not dropping for you right now. And throw it to number 1 inside.
1, 2, 5, 20. And deflected, last touched. And let's see, they're going to keep it here.
Well, here's that look over the top again, and Williamson again. And I talked about throwing it a foot higher. He did that.
Let's check out the other 5 ball games on the ledger in the ACC. And of course, coming up top of the hour, Virginia, Notre Dame. Tony Bennett, by the way, 7-1 all time against the Irish. We told you, some of you will see Clemson, NC State, others Pitt, Louisville as part of our Raycom Sports doubleheader. And then BC at Wake Forest. Deacons have won 4 of the last 5 from the Eagles. And then tonight at the Castle, the Orange have won 5 of 6 from Virginia Tech since joining the ACC. That's a very big game with a pair of 5-1. 5-1, Syracuse 4-2, Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and NC State 2-1. They need to, win to keep up with that bottom half of the, of the one loss teams. And Louisville, same thing. They want to protect home court.
By the way, second foul on Zion Williamson with 7:24 to go here in this first half. 4 on Duke. Shambari Phillips threw it away to Williamson. Got Jones with him behind the back. Went for the dunk and draws the foul.
See, now, what I think he should have done here is give it up to Jones with the expectation of getting it back on the lob. But, he's so good at off the floor. Look, just dump it back and, nobody's going to get there in time. But
well,
still a great take.
Really hadn't shown you folks the behind the back package that I brought with me from Spartanburg. Free throw good. Zion was 7 here in this first half. Alvarado is in. DeVoe is in. Shambari Phillips. Trey Jones, by the way, came back during that timeout, Mike, as you mentioned, the transition opportunity. Second free throw good. Williamson has 8. And Duke has a 5-point lead. Blue Devils started off first 7.5 minutes with 33% from the floor, 1 of 8 from 3, 6 turnovers. A little sleepy Saturday high noon.
Well, yeah, this is what right now. Georgia Tech should really be careful and really efficient as they finish out this half, because it's Duke looks like they're starting to get going as well.
A.D. Gay has come on for Josh Pastner in the last couple ball games since coming back from missing a couple as well.
And part of him, if they can get him, and Banks is not on the floor, so even more critical. And one thing he can do is run, and he helped make that play. DeVoe gets the layup.
Back the other way. Here's Barrett, and R.J. Barrett gets the tap follow.
Yeah, great effort. That was a 1-on-4 situation again. But he just beat everybody off the floor for the second chance.
Alvarado. Nice pass. A.D. Gay the catch and dunk. Georgia Tech to within 1 as we work towards 6 minutes to play in this first half at Cameron Indoor.
I think Alvarado's a guy, too, you can go underneath on the screen and not get killed on because he's not a great perimeter shooter.
Blue Devils being pretty patient here against the Georgia Tech zone, so to speak.
I mean, what are you going to do? Well, actually, what you got to do, there's got to be tremendous ball pressure on the passer. I mean, he can't sit back there and pick you apart and throw that lob. You got to make him turn his back.
Way too easy an exchange there. DeVoe turns it over. Here's Williamson. Runaway freight train. Missed the layup.
Yeah, you want to stand in there and take a charge on that?
That ball got deflected. It'll stay with Georgia Tech. Mike, you talk about the pass here.
Look, hands down right there. No easy sight line on that play. Look at, you're looking to point up. Yeah, just throw it up there. Throw it up the top of the box. You have to have, you've got to make that pass or turn his back out front.
Moses Wright, who played his high school ball in Raleigh, into the game for Georgia Tech. Alvarado's fouled on the drive. I think Ted Valentine has whistled this on Trey Jones.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, one of the things that Duke has a great training staff, and Jose Fonseca is their head trainer, and we've got a physical therapist named Nick Potter sitting on the bench, and you know, Potter is one of the best in the business. Will Stevens in the middle is the strength and conditioning, but Potter's just got magical hands, and he's kept so many of these guys healthy and gets them through their rehab and oversees everything.
Well, those three guys right there, in many ways, have helped Duke a lot when you consider the Williamson injury at Florida State, the things that happened in the offseason during the Canada trip with Reddish and Jones.
See, I think too that, you know, obviously your PT staff and your training report needs to score inside there, but your strength and conditioning coach spends, if not more time than maybe your head coach with the team.
R.J. Barrett's got 7 on his 3rd field goal, and Josh Pastner a quick timeout here at the 4:56 mark, Mike, because I think, like you said a moment ago, he senses this might be a fairly critical stretch of the ball game.
Yeah, he doesn't want it to get out of hand in the last 4. And how many times have we seen it? Great left hand. You let you know, Barrett get inside like that. But how many times have we seen in the last 4 minutes of the first half Duke go on like a 15-0 run to open things up?
Well, and when you talk about runs with Duke this year, a lot of it is sparked by the freshman Williamson, who has 10 points on 4 field goals and 2 of 2 line shooting. And just the sheer physical gifts the youngster has catches your eye. But Mike, as we found out in the course of this ACC season, pretty fair basketball IQ too.
No, and you know, he bristled a little bit at that. He didn't want to be thunk of as just a dunker. It's pity he had 7 assists.
Yeah,
you know, in that game, he can make plays, he can dribble, he can handle. You know, a lot more complete of a player than people gave him credit for early.
Yep.
But just because the dunks were so off the charts.
ADK, Evan Cole, the dunk follow for his 2nd field goal.
Tell you what, Georgia Tech has had some pretty good success. That's 7 offensive rebounds already in the first half.
Williamson's come off the floor with the 2 fouls, by the way, during the timeout by Pastner. Here's Reddish. Good-looking stroke. A little strong off the back rim, and a reach-in foul whistled by Clarence Armstrong. And it will be on R.J. Barrett. It will be his first 6 on the Blue Devils. And now a message from CPI Security.
Get the best security and smart home solutions all in one app from CPI Security, the official security partner of ACC basketball.
Just ahead of 4 minutes to play first half with Mike Jaminski, our producer Casey Carter, our director Ken Neal, our great Raycom Sports crew. West Durham on the West Campus at Duke at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke's longest active win streak. There's a foul on Gay trying to sort out position, and that's 2 on A.D. Gay at the 4:02 mark.
And that was an unnecessary foul. He had Bolden on his back, and he just spread his arms out, and it was an easy call for Ted Valentine because there was no traffic in the lane. You can just look at the 2 of them battle.
Mike, Duke has won 11 straight against Georgia Tech. Here is Barrett inside, and he's fouled, and then that might be 3 on Gay. The 11-game win streak on A.D. Gay's 3rd foul is the longest Duke has against any other ACC opponent. We get a timeout. Georgia Tech to within 2, but Duke will have the ball when we come back.
How refreshing.
North Carolina Lottery Stats Update brought to you by the North Carolina Education Lottery, celebrating 12 years at over $6 billion raised for education. To learn more, visit nclottery.com. And Mike, Georgia Tech, 4 of their last 5 from the floor. Duke is 1 of 9 from 3, and they're averaging almost 8 a game.
Here's the big thing, Wes. I think if you're Josh Pastner, Duke 36%. You mentioned the threes, but only 2 points off turnovers for the Blue Devils, and that was one thing that Josh really stressed. And but again, we're going to focus on this last 3:57. And sure that Coach Bassner reminded his team about, hey, you know, we've got ourselves into this game. Let's not shoot ourselves out of the game.
Well, James Banks is back on the floor with 3 fouls. A.D. Gay went to the bench with 3.
Yeah, I just don't know that he's got other options, you know, that are capable. I mean, it's just his hand has been forced in a way. If you're Duke, you got to be in full attack mode and go right at him.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like defensively they'll be playing 4 against 5.
Exactly.
DeVoe for Evan Cole, who's given him some nice minutes off the bench. Cole with the right hand. Banks challenged. Reddish the pull.
And even that's risky. And Bolden is not coming up the floor.
And so Marquise Bolden out of DeSoto, Texas, the junior who got the start today for the first time since early December. And he will have to come out as Antonio Brankovic comes back onto the floor for Duke. Let's see if we can get an eye here of what happened with Bolden.
Well, this is where he got his foot stepped on and then tried to pull away a little bit early. So I don't know if it's a foot issue or a calf issue.
Jack White a 3.
He needs to see one go through the basket. It's just, you know, it's just one of those things. It's a little bit in his head right now, and it's tough. It's tough to shoot yourself out of it by, you know, shooting threes.
Yep. Cole picks up on the dribble and tried to bounce it inside the Banks. Turned it over to Brankovic.
Nice job fronting the post that time, getting good position.
Under 3 to go in this first half. Neither team has looked particularly sharp on offense in the opening 20. Reddish lost it on the dribble, and DeVoe scoops up the Blue Devil turnover. 7 of them for Duke.
It's a little tough. I mean, you want to attack the zone and attack the seams, but you know, putting the ball on the deck from that far out.
Georgia Tech just kind of managing possessions. Here's DeVoe. Layup good. Michael DeVoe has got 7 for the Jackets in the first half. Georgia Tech to within 2.
We talked about the leading shot blocking team in the country, but not a lot of shot blockers out there now.
And a foul coming, and I think it's Alvarado. But another look at Michael DeVoe on Jose Alvarado's second foul.
Well, here's the look. I mean, you get a little brush screen up top, but still, that's way too easy getting to his left hand.
R.J. Barrett to the line. The Blue Devils 9 of 10 at the stripe here. Duke shooting under 67% in conference play coming in. I guess I'm responsible for the miss there. Javin DeLaurier's first appearance here, Mike, in the ball game comes with 2:03 to play. He and Williamson both come back in for Coach Krzyzewski. And here is R.J. Barrett, who gets the back end and now has 10 here in the first half. He and Williamson, the only double-figure scorers in the ball game. DeVoe with Barrett defending. Alvarado the lock. Banks missed the dunk. And Alvarado reaches in and gets a fresh possession for Georgia Tech.
I think if you're Banks, you've got to catch that and come down. He tried to go for the home run play.
Haywood a 3. Got it. Out of the corner. Curtis Haywood's first field goal. His 28th 3 of the year. Tied at 27 with 88 seconds to go.
Terrific look, terrific ball movement that time. And that's, again, what happens. You get those offensive rebounds, and all of a sudden the defense gets scattered.
Williamson on the block. DeLaurier missed the chippy. And out of there, DeVoe with it.
DeLaurier was looking around for people rather than concentrating on finishing the shot.
Banks lost the handle on it. Here's Alvarado.
Again, Banks needs to be very careful the last 50 seconds.
Evan Cole a 3. Rebound for DeLaurier. Duke's gone almost 5 minutes now here at the close of the half without a field goal, and now the use it or lose it timeout for Mike Krzyzewski with 37.6 to go, and Georgia Tech got a Long ball from Curtis Haywood, G-Man.
Yep. And, you see the drive, and this is you know that your shooter is there on the opposite side on the baseline, and that was a good find with some people in his face. Westwood, you know, look at that. Yeah, it's great that Trey Jones is back, but he hasn't looked like the Trey Jones before. You wouldn't expect that, but you can definitely see a difference in his game, and he's just going to have to shake some rust off.
Hardy's halftime report comes up at the break. We'll visit our Raycom Sports Classic. Great ball games from our nearly 4 decades of coverage of ACC basketball. And of course, first half highlights and analysis. And there's a look at the freshman, Apple Valley, Minnesota's Trey Jones, back in the lineup after missing the Virginia game. And of course, last Tuesday night's win at Pittsburgh.
Some have said that the best freshman guard defender that Duke has had. Wow. I might argue Tommy Amaker would be right up at the top of that list. Nobody better than Mike Krzyzewski to answer that question, and I don't know that he would make comparisons.
Here's Reddish out of the corner. Cole the rebound. Georgia Tech can hold for one. Alvarado scraps the plan, gives the Jackets the lead.
I don't know that hold for one is in Alvarado's DNA. You know, he was just in full attack mode.
2-point lead, Jones, Williamson. Trey Jones a 3 for the lead. Rimmed off, rebound for Obanda, and Georgia Tech's going to take a 29-27 lead to the locker room at halftime. Blue Devils' fewest point total in any half this season. 27 of them for Mike Krzyzewski's team. The Hall of Fame coach concerned about the 12 noon start and the short turnaround. His team trails a deuce at the break at Cameron. 2-point lead for Georgia Tech. We get ready for the second half. They lead number 2 Duke here at Cameron. Time for a quick check of the Excedrin stats. Duke's worst shooting half of any game this season, Mike, and just 1 of 12 from behind the line.
Yeah, the free throw line is what's really keeping him in this game so far, and I'd like to go back to full attack mode for them. But you know, for Georgia Tech, talk about the last 4 minutes, the first 4 minutes equally as important.
Turned over by Alvarado. Here's Williamson flying through, and Alvarado scraped it off his leg, but last touched by the Jackets.
And Wes Alvarado, is his importance to the team. How about his line early on? 7 rebounds, 5 points, 4 assists.
What'd you call him? Scrappy? Feisty?
Fearless.
Fearless.
Yeah.
All those things, right?
I'm going to tell you, when you come out of Brooklyn, you got to be fearless.
Here's Barrett. Open look from the baseline, left it short, off Williamson's leg, and it will belong to Georgia Tech. And here's the backcourt pressure immediately. Remember, they started with this, but then kind of it varied through the first half. Remember, Duke also had combined 12 minutes of scoring droughts in the first 22.
Yeah, Wes, and I wonder if this is going to continue longer. You know, as the longer that Georgia Tech lingers in this game, the more confidence they're going to get. And I think it's really important too. When Banks they've gone a little bit smaller. They've got Banks on the bench right now. Gay is the only big guy they have on the floor to go with Cole.
There's a return pass to A.D. Gay and a foul on Marquise Bolden. That'll be the first on the junior from DeSoto, Texas. Good to see him back on the floor after being shaken up in the opening 20 minutes with what looked to be some sort of foot ailment.
Yeah, he got it stepped on in Banks, and again, we don't know if what the nature of it was, but seems to be moving okay.
Georgia Tech's kind of been content. Here's DeVoe on the drive, got the basket. On the runner did Michael DeVoe. He's got 9. They've been content to plot offensively.
And Duke hasn't looked really active defensively, and that time they pulled Gay out. There was a ton of room in driving lanes in there, and it's something that's been consistent throughout this game so far, is Tech's ability to get to the rim. Turned over, step in front, DeVoe. Here's the lead for Alvarado. He's got A.D. Gay with him for the dunk. There may be an early timeout by Mike Krzyzewski. He's not happy with the way his team is going. He'll call a timeout before the first media timeout. Largest lead of the ball game for Georgia Tech. Reddish thought about it. Jones launches.
Missed everything.
Yeah, I don't know what percentage to put it at, but he's got a ways to go.
Cole finds a seam. The lead is 8, and here comes a timeout from Mike Krzyzewski. 35-27, 2 minutes gone, second half. Georgia Tech has outscored the Blue Devils 6-0. Duke will have the balls. We rejoin you from Cameron and Georgia Tech. And there's Williamson to break the drought for the Blue Devils, not only from the floor, but scoring in the second half. Zion has a dozen.
Well, and then leave it to him to energize this crowd. This crowd has been back on its heels a little bit. I mean, they've been standing up, but it's been relatively quiet in here.
13-3 run by Georgia Tech at the back end of the first half and the start of this second half. And Duke went better than 7 minutes around halftime, sandwiched around halftime without a field goal. See what the Blue Devils get done defensively here, G-Man.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of stunning in a way for a team that averages 83 points a game in conference be held to this number in the second half. And
Alvarado, shot clock winding down, drew iron from about 30. Williamson beyond his reach, won't get to it.
not a great angle to feed the post from that time. Pretty tough pass to make even to Zion Williamson.
9 turnovers, by the way, on the Blue Devils. 2 here already in the second half.
He'd been better served. He had good position, but if you could have swung the ball to the other side, it would have been an easy entry.
Michael DeVos handled the basketball a good bit here in these half-court situations for Georgia Tech. Hayward on the drive, in traffic, had it blocked. Gay tried to recover. Barrett out of there with it. Blue Devils looking to run. Ahead for Reddish. Missed on the 3. Hayward the rebound. Ahead for Alvarado. Behind the back. Cole the catch. And almost the and one.
West, Duke 1 of 14 now from 3. This is Georgia Tech, and Josh Pastner says, hey, we live in the paint. And they certainly have been this afternoon. The great look ahead right there. And Gay, one thing he can do is run the floor as well. And that just the easy blow by Evan Cole.
And James Banks saddled on the bench with the 3 fouls. Did not start the second half as Evan Cole, who was originally ticketed out of Cumming, Georgia, to go play for Kevin Keats at UNC Wilmington. Keats took the NC State job. Cole came back off the letter of intent and ended up staying closer to home to play in Atlanta for Josh Pastner. Duke has missed their last 13 shots, Mike, from 3. Averaging almost 8 a game.
And the thing is, as I said, they're not getting any runouts, any easy shots. Everything has been in the half court. If I'm Josh Pastner, I'm going to continue to contract that zone until they start making some shots.
Right. Remember, they got an easy bucket out of a timeout on a sideline out of bounds.
And you got a reluctant three-point shooter out there in Jack White.
That ball got kicked. Shot clock will reroute to 20. So Reddish.
I just, you know, I'm looking at Trey Jones, and he just looks like he's kind of in a daze right now. Certainly not, you know, what we're used to seeing. You understand it coming back from an injury and a couple of games out.
Barrett strong to the basket. Dozen for R.J. Barrett. 5-point lead for Georgia Tech. 4 minutes gone here in the second half. Yellow Jackets took a 2-point lead to the locker room off Duke's worst shooting half of the year. Gay off the glass. A.D. Gay with a dozen.
That's a tough cover for Barrett inside. He's undersized against Gay.
Reddish, the miss, the outlet, Alvarado. Beyond his reach, White made a heck of a save. Reddish trying to make the Jackets pay.
Yeah, and that was, you know, again, the small things that Jack White does, that's what he did on that play. And he makes that three possible by running down that long pass.
5 in a row by the Blue Devils. Alvarado can't finish. And then he somehow ends up with a rebound.
I didn't think he reestablished position on the court.
Jones had it poked away, got it back.
There you go. Well, maybe that's the thing, and all of a sudden now he's a lot more animated.
Well, Georgia Tech seen Duke score 5 in a row, Mike, to draw to within 2.
Well, this is two things that desperately needed to happen for Duke. One, Reddish, his first made basket of the game, and then this is Trey Jones. And look at the reaction, Wes, afterwards coming off the bench. I mean, he was fired up and finally looked like, you know, the Trey Jones that we're used to seeing.
Here's DeVoe working against Reddish. Blue Devils, new life, if you will, after the 5-0 run, including the 3. Here's Haywood going all the way through. Blocked by Williamson. Duke trying to keep it going. Reddish to the rim. Missed it. Laid it on the front iron.
Should have been.
Now Georgia Tech runs.
He had the backboard wide open on that side, Wes.
Alvarado a pull-up 3.
I don't know why he just didn't lay it off the backboard. That was an easy layup.
Still a 2-point game.
It was a good timeout, though, by Josh Pastner. He saw an explosion coming.
And Williamson going to get the dunk and the 1 on Banks' 4th foul.
Well, we talked about them being number 1 in the country in blocking shots, and Zion Williamson a big reason why. And look at this finish, just always around the rim. And I almost could have been detected for hanging on the rim. I mean, he pulled the rim down, and then the ball went through.
Yep. James Banks, just back on the floor a moment ago, gets his 4th foul. Zion Williamson now with 14, and the 3rd free throw of the day for the freshman.
You know, at the very least, offensive interference, but no call made. And then now a couple of errant passes by Georgia Tech, and Josh Pastner is getting on his team. This is directed at his guys.
Yeah.
For those long, you know, they're trying to hit home runs right now when singles and doubles have been helping them win this game.
And Georgia Tech losing a little bit of the poise they've been playing with today. Pastner told us before the game they wanted to squeeze the thing down, muddy it up, if you will, maybe dirty it up, Mike. Work the possessions, run the shot clock down, and they've kind of been successful doing that. And forcing Duke into a tough shooting day, too.
The only thing they haven't done, Wes, is get to the free throw line.
That's it.
Which would really help them right now. There's a big deficit there, and that's the best way really to slow the game down.
Blue Devils haven't led since first half at 27-24. Tied at 38. And another turnover in a half-court set here for Georgia Tech. And that's their 13th.
Yeah, 13th, and a lot of them, again, it hasn't been because of great defense. It's because of poor choices on passes.
Barrett for the lead. 14 for R.J. Barrett. A 9-0 run by the home team.
Well, you know that he and Williamson are going to get their numbers. The best you can do is hope that you make them a high-volume shooter, and you know, they've done it with Barrett. Williamson's 6 of 8 on his 14.
Alvarado. Here's DeVoe slipping baseline. And travel.
It's another way where shot blocking manifests itself. You start looking around for guys that are going to block your shot. It's just, you know, that's too easy. I mean, that's like a layup for him.
3 straight empty trips for Georgia Tech. 5 turnovers for the Jackets in the last 2:43, and Barrett has 4 in a row.
And since that timeout from Mike Krzyzewski, there's been a different Duke team out on the floor on both ends.
Alvarado working against Jones. With a spot up left hand, short.
And Alvarado trying to be looking for that call. He's not going to get it.
Barrett fouled by A.D. Gay, and that's his 4th. So both Georgia Tech bigs now with 4 and 12:27 to play. And our Honda dealers of the Carolinas road to Charlotte. Well, the quick turnaround for Mike Krzyzewski Monday night at the Purcell Pavilion in Virginia has run off early on Notre Dame, leading by 10. And then you see next Saturday, Shamari Pons is here for St. John's as A.D. Gay picks up his fourth a moment ago, and that'll send Barrett back to the strike.
A long time, fixture down here. Mike Craig up at St. John's.
That's right.
AD, and of course that's a series that goes back to when Mike Krzyzewski was a great friend of Mike Jarvis. Matter of fact, they were the last non-conference team to win in here.
Yep. You see Evan Cole report back. Abdoulaye Gay,
and the guy that one of the first guys Mike Krzyzewski recruited when he got here was Chris Mullins.
Who hosted Mully on the visit?
Me.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Well, I never got anything from Carnesecca. both he and Bill Wellington were on that trip, and they both went to St. John's.
Wow. Foul in the open floor on Jones. Second on Trey Jones. Third on Duke. Don't forget, coming up, some of you will see Pitt in Louisville, Tom Wormy, Brian Oliver at the KFC Young Center, Clemson and NC State over in Raleigh. Exciting day of ACC basketball here on Raycom Sports. And there's DeVoe battling at the rack. Banks recovers and lays it in. James Banks now with just his second field goal. Had the first basket of the day for Georgia Tech.
And it's been foul trouble and bench time for him ever since.
Yep. Barrett's got Duke's last 6. 4-point lead for the Blue Devils. O'Connell. Reddish a 3. And out and over. We'll give it to the Jackets, but first a timeout. The under 12 break. 44-40, number 2 in front when we come back.
Customize your experience for scores, stats, highlights, and news. The ACC mobile app presented by Outback.
44-40, Duke a 4-point lead on Georgia Tech. And the Jackets have turned it over 6 times for 9 Duke points here in the second half. Duke has 2 turnovers, just 2 points for Georgia Tech. And the Blue Devils bust out of that drought, Mike, with 7 of 12 from the floor.
Yeah, since that timeout, they have gotten some easy baskets and knocked down some jump shots. Great defense on the post that time by Barrett.
Cole, the intended receiver of the bounce pass. Georgia Tech, by the way, we mentioned Duke at Notre Dame on Monday night. Carolina and Atlanta on Tuesday after an 8-day break.
How many teams have we seen that who have had Duke, Virginia back-to-back, or Duke, Carolina back-to-back?
No nights off. Hashtag no nights off, Mike. Banks out of a double team and a foul on the Blue Devils. And it's on O'Connell, and during that Blue Devil timeout, you talked about the revitalization of the Duke offense.
Well, this has been the last couple of timeouts have been like that. Mike Krzyzewski trying to wake his team up this afternoon, and Williamson and Barrett, the two top scorers in the league, starting to lead the way.
Here's Banks with Williamson on his hip. And James Banks had it lip out. Almost 9 minutes gone, second half.
Duke has got, instead of Williamson, he's got Barrett in the middle of that zone.
And Barrett missed jump shot, but the foul on the block against Evan Cole.
Yeah, he's trying to, it's a
move the immovable.
Yeah, tough thing to block out a brick wall, but that's the thing that Williamson is he's not immobile. He's strong and he's quick. You almost have to face guard him and give yourself up.
Cole out. Abdoulaye Gay will defend the inbounds pass as he returns to the order. Georgia Tech was 3 of their first 3 to extend the halftime lead, and now just 2 of their last 10 from the floor. Williamson for O'Connell. Long 2 at the left. Banks trying to keep it alive. Barrett's got it back. Banks playing with 4. Can't do a lot. Barrett scores. 20 now for R.J. Barrett. 16th time this year he's had 20 or more in a ball game.
Just both of those guys hanging around the front of the rim, and Think about that shot. Just misses softly, allows the interior guys a chance.
DeVoe. Here's Banks trying to find the dribble alley. Okay, a little soft run. Oh, that made the G-Man feel good. A little soft hook. Didn't go, though.
Runner, it was like way back Tommy Heinsohn.
Williamson fighting inside.
Yeah, you see, I mean, Banks just put his hands up and he kept retreating. And
well, you can't do anything, right?
You should run that play every single time down the floor.
He and Gabe both play with 4 personal fouls. 8-point game.
Find the matchup you like in the post and go right to it.
Largest lead of the afternoon for the Blue Devils. 10 to shoot for Alvarado, and Duke starting to tighten things up defensively here. Jose through traffic, it fell in.
Yeah, that was a tough take, and really nice defense by Trey Jones that time, but he didn't get beat off the dribble much. But Alvarado, talk about fearless.
7 for the sophomore. Barrett crosses for Reddish. O'Connell slides in.
Yeah, nice jump shot right there. He's got great form, but the one thing they were able to do is drive him off the three-point line the last 2 times he's had looks.
Back to an 8-point Blue Devil lead. Banks.
That way with a little hop inside.
Under 9 to go, and now Duke wants to make sure they get the floor set.
Well, Williamson wants to know the lob.
Here's Barrett in the middle of the zone. Alvarado reaches in, held ball. It'll stay with the Blue Devils with 8 to shoot. Boy, R.J. Barrett, 10 in this half, Mike.
Here's the look. I mean, just see that nice soft shot. It was actually, you know, you give half a basket to Williamson that time for keeping it alive. And he gets it on that left block and can turn inside. It's 2.
Reddish. Front rim miss and Gay.
Not a great shot for him. A contested jump shot that time. Alvarado getting a hand up.
Coming up on 8 minutes to go.
I have a Williamson out there being able to guard point guards. But
Alvarado had it swatted off the glass.
And Alvarado thought he had a layup, and he would have against most people, but number 1 caught up to him from behind.
And then it was kicked in transition by A.D. Gay.
Watch this. Watch this. This is a basket right here in his mind. Not in Zion Williamson's mind.
Man, what an athlete. Williamson in strong, scores. 18 for Zion.
He and Barrett, 38 of the 52 points for Duke.
We get a foul on Williamson. Back after summary. Don't forget, for summaries of this game and other ACC games, go to theacc.com. And A.D. Gay, a strong first half. He has 4 here in the second half. R.J. Barrett's got his 3rd double-double of the year, his 2nd in conference play with 20 and 10 so far. And Duke is on a 25-7 run since Georgia Tech bolted to a 35-27 lead to start the second half.
Yeah, and then you as an opposing coach, you have the sense that those are coming at some point in time. But still a lot of time left in this game, Wes. And but Georgia Tech has to have solid possessions, not turn the ball over.
There's Haywood slipping back door. Nice pass from Banks.
Yeah, good start right there. Good execution coming out of the timeout. Done a nice job of lifting people out and getting some backdoor plays.
8-point game. Foul line area for Barrett. Lost it to DeVoe.
Trying to look for Williamson that time. Would have been better served to throw a bounce pass or not throw it at all.
DeVoe didn't really have very much, so with 20 to shoot, back to the middle of the floor. Banks wants to get it to A.D. Gay. Instead, he'll fight for position and travel. 15th turnover of the ball game on Georgia Tech, and they're 7th here in the second half.
There's that back door. You see everybody lifted. Gay on the weak side draws the attention of Barrett, who doesn't help on the play.
In the corner, Zion thought about a three, long two instead. O'Connell folds it up in front.
All right, perfect. Right place, right time. Linger. Don't necessarily know about the shot for Williamson that time. A long two, but O'Connell able to clean it up.
10-point lead for the Blue Devils, matches their largest of the day. Georgia Tech led by 8 early in the second half. Gay with the right hand. And O'Connell. Haven't seen a lot of Bolden here in the second half, or Jack White. Here's a timeout, Josh Pastner. Seemingly no Blue Devil game complete without a lob for number 1.
Well, Weston, it's been that same thing. I mean, a great pass over the top by Reddish. Nobody on the back line. I mean, he's just pointing. He's been doing that the whole afternoon. And Josh Pastner, a good timeout for him. He knows this game is at a tipping point right now. The crowd back into it.
Williamson, who set a freshman scoring record with 35 in the ball game against the Orange. Mike has his 12th game of the year of 20 or more for Coach K. You add Barrett, 16 games of 20 or more, and Williamson of 12 or more. That's a tough combination.
Yep. Well, and as time goes along, I mean, Trey Jones, as he get back on the court, as his shoulder gets healthier, he's going to get back to doing what he does. They got to get going a little bit. I think it's Reddish.
I agree.
1 of 10, 1 of 7 from 3 in this game. His numbers down a little in the ACC.
Well, he did have 15, 6, and 4 the other night at Pittsburgh. 12-point lead. Georgia Tech trailing. Number 2 Duke back in control after trailing by a basket at halftime on the worst shooting half of the year. Gay. Rose with the left hand, and it spins off. Williamson and Barrett combined have outscored Georgia Tech 20-15 here in the second half. O'Connell. And Banks going to be called for his 5th. He will. And Georgia Tech's leading scorer, leading rebounder in conference play, fouls out of the ball game.
And the one thing it is about a zone, sometimes it can be problematic to rebound out of it. Duke has gotten several second chance opportunities in this second half.
4 points, 2 rebounds, just 2 of 5 from the floor. First time he's fouled out in conference play, just the 3rd time this year for James Banks. And Barrett a couple of free throws.
And Wes, you've seen him. He's got the talent to be more consistent, and that's what Josh Pastner needs.
And the freshman from Mississauga, Ontario, R.J. Barrett, whose dad played at St. John's in the middle 90s. Speaking of the Red Storm. Got both ends of the free throw. He's now got 22 in the ball game. Cam Reddish draws the foul at the other end. It's his 2nd. 6 now on Duke here in the half. Jackets Can't burn a lot of daylight now, can they, Mike? Here's Gay, the up and under for the basket.
Yeah, they've had a couple of those baskets that they've missed inside. But he needs stops more than anything.
14 for A.D. Gay.
And some of those easy runouts and drives that they were getting earlier in the half have gone away as well.
Reddish, or Barrett from Reddish, and here's Jones, a little hang too.
You know, it's funny. Sometimes it just takes one play, Wes. And I go back to that layup, and they called the timeout, and he was so animated when he came over to the bench. But I mean, that's just a self-inflicted wound.
Barrett, lobbed. Zion went volleyball with it. Couldn't quite control it. Now O'Connell the steal. Here's Jones behind the back. Barrett!
How about Alex O'Connell making the play right there? Heads up, turning around, getting into defensive stance, and getting the turnover.
And he boxed up one and slapped a bow on it for R.J. Barrett. Turned over by Georgia Tech. It's a 16-point game.
And now Mike Krzyzewski's trying to put the brakes on a little bit. He wants them to run some clock. Gave him the third baseman stop sign on the bench on the way down the floor.
O'Connell the rebound, second opportunity for the Blue Devils. Williamson had it punched away. Haywood. Here's A.D. Gay. Stripped of it by Jones. And O'Connell scoops up the loose change.
And again, running some clock, and that another really good look at what Trey Jones does defensively to get that steal from behind.
R.J. Barrett, Duke's leading scorer with 24 in his last two. Worth the ticket price. 16-point lead for the Blue Devils.
Market of the ACC. By your local Chevy dealers. And by Lending Tree, official loan shopping partner of the ACC.
2:45 to go on a moving clock. We welcome you back live to Cameron. Duke by 16. Number 2 team in the country trailed by a basket at the break.
You know, Wes, we were wondering how much time Trey Jones was going to play in this game, or if he was going to play. 33 minutes so far, and that's above his season average.
And the 5th foul of the day on Abdullah Gay has been called. So he's going to foul out with 2:28 to play. Gay and Banks, who fouled out about 3 minutes ago, has spent most of the afternoon in foul trouble. And yet Gay produced 14 points and 8 rebounds, which is an encouraging sign, I believe, for Josh Pastner in the games ahead, Mike.
Absolutely, especially against this type of team in this environment. Tough to be out there by yourself, and you know, he battled with 4 fouls for a long time.
Second time Gay has fouled out of a ball game this year, first in league play. Williamson to the line, where he has 20. Good.
And quietly, you know, for Georgia Tech, Alvarado's had a nice 7 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, but the 5 turnovers against that.
And the lead is 18 on the Williamson free throws. The Duke freshmen have 33 of the 37 points here in the second half, Mike. And here's a turnover, but gained by DeVoe, and 1 from Michael DeVoe. DeVoe into double figures with 11.
Get a gun on the floor, and DeVoe, aside from being a little loose with the basketball, a pretty solid finish right there.
So Michael DeVoe out of Orlando.
What about, though, Duke going to Notre Dame for a quick turnaround. Mike Bray has the best record of any assistant, any former assistant that Mike Krzyzewski has had to go on to be a head coach.
Under 2 to go. And Jones and the Blue Devils work the possession with 14 to shoot. Trey a scoop and the follow. 6 for Jones, all in the second half. The lead back to 18 as we approach 90 seconds to go.
Yeah, and that was one area they were getting hurt on, but now they've flipped the rebounding. It's been 19 to 10 in this second half.
Yep. Here's Cole. 12 to shoot. Moses Wright off the baseline. Sophomore from Inlow High School in Raleigh. His first basket. R.J. Barrett needs one more point for 24, or 25 rather, and that would give him the freshman record for 25-point games. Right now he's in a three-way tie with Zion Williamson and Marvin Bagley III.
You got to think that record's going to be tossed back and forth between the two of them.
There's a reach-in foul on Georgia Tech. Time for our Bojangles fan of the game. Oh. So bow time, and we find Winnie the Pooh among the crazies today. About 5 rows up across the way. It's not a hard search in this building, by the way.
No, and a little yawn there, a little early game. Nice hand
foul on Alvarado, by the way.
Nice hand for Trey Jones as he, the crowd, the air got sucked out of this building when he got hurt in that game, and then the team just really fell apart against Syracuse.
Still, Duke got it to overtime before Elijah Hughes and Tyus battled.
Well, how big did that shot, that bomb from the half court by Hughes, play a role in that game?
Jack White's follow, and I think they're going to have a look at this. So our first review of the day comes with 28.9 to go, and Duke up 16 with the starters on the bench. And how about a quick check of our Chevy Performance of the Game, brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. And of course, it's the Ontario freshman R.J. Barrett with his third double-double of the year and his second in conference play, Mike.
Yeah, got off to a bit of a slow shooting start, but got that turned around to finish at 50%. And, he'll give you 7 rebounds a night, but you talked about it, the third double-double for him. Quite a combination right there.
Cam Reddish is out. Javin DeLaurier, Justin Robinson, Alex O'Connell, Jordan Goldwire will finish this with Shambari Phillips, Curtis Haywood, Christian Sholin, Sylvester Obanda, and Moses Wright on the floor. And Sholin knocks down his second 3 of the year off a screen. Young man from Katy, Texas, but grew up in Norway. And Duke will let the time expire, and they will beat Georgia Tech for the 12th straight time, the 16 in the last 17, 20 of the last 21 of the last 23, and 36 of the last 39 times.
Yeah, incredible domination, and for right now, right at this moment, they sit atop with the first team to 6 wins in conference, but Virginia looks like they're cruising in that direction as well.
Blue Devils 6-1, 17-2, headed to South Bend.